It's time for the Chips and Salsa Show.
The only show about Latinos for Latinos. And did we mention Latinos?
It's the Latísima.
Latinos come in all flavors, shapes, and sizes. You don't have to be Latino to enjoy chips and salsa.
People love chips and salsa.
Hey, guess what time it is? It's time for another edition of the Chips and Salsa Show, New Mexico. My name is Alice Lara. I am your host tonight, today, whenever you're watching this. And typically we do have Mr. Zeke Rodriguez, the Zekeinator, here with us. However, he's a little under the weather, so he's not going to be in this episode. He'll be back next week with us. So everybody say like a little prayer for him to get better. I think he's doing best. I talked to him right before the show. But we do have a great show for you. We're going to be talking to Julia E. Ruiz and also to William Bill Beerman. Now, we have had Bill on before, and he got us kind of kicked off of YouTube. We can talk about that as well. But he's going to talk about a Trump event that we're going to be holding here in Las Cruces. And then we have Julia on because she is with the CCIA, the Coalition of Conservatives in Action, that we often talk about. She kind of heads their crime committee, fighting crime in Las Cruces. So it's going to be a really good show, and as always, I like to remind you, you might be watching from another state or another town, but believe me, the issues we talk about, they're kind of universal anymore throughout the United States. So we really appreciate you Chipsters for hanging in there. By the way, if you're watching us on YouTube, Rumble, please, if you haven't yet, subscribe to our channel because we're trying to get our things up. And I think, are we on X yet, Joey? I know Zeke was going to do that.
No, he didn't give me the keys for that yet.
Okay, not yet? Okay,
Yep.
but watch
Yeah.
X soon, previously known as Twitter, because we will be up there as well. And we really appreciate just spreading the word, the Chips and Salsa Show. And just a shout out also to the Chips and Salsa Show Arizona. They're doing a lot of good things. And the hosts now are always Don Jorge, who used to be my partner. And then Cheryl Rosado has kind of taken over as the co-host, and she's doing a great job. So if you have a chance, you can watch them. Typically, they record. They're on live. We're thinking about going live here, maybe on Facebook. So just kind of keep us up to date, and let us know what you like. If you want to comment, say, yeah, I'd like to see you live, or maybe you wouldn't. I don't know. I think it's, I'm used to doing that. I also want to give a shout out before we start to our wonderful Organ Mountain Studios. This is where we record here in the heart of Las Cruces, and that's Joey and Haley Garza, who will soon be parents. It's November, right?
Yep, November.
And
Cool.
Haley's just this little video thing, and it's like you can barely tell she's pregnant. She's got this little bump. It's so cute, and we're so excited about that. So without further ado, we'll actually get to our program. Thank you again. And if I forget anything to talk about, guys, because not having your regular partner is kind of throws you a little off kilter, so feel free to just jump in and remind me. Okay, great. Okay, so as I said, we have William Bill. We're going to call him Bill. That's okay, or Billy. No, I'm going to call you Bill. Beerman. I always like to call him Mr. Beerman. And one time I was talking to the phone, and goes, Alice, you can call me Bill, but I like to say Mr. Beerman. It just kind of sounds so cool. He's the organizer of Persecution Watch for President Donald Trump. And Julia E. Ruiz, she gave this to me, and it's pretty cool. Concerned citizen of Dona County. She's a contract paralegal, member of the leadership team of CCIA, that's a Coalition of Conservatives in Action, with a primary focus on crime and public policy. So we're going to start with Bill. Oh, did you bring a poster of the event? I forgot to print one out. That's okay, we'll post it.
Yes, I did.
All right, you got it.
A rare moment of lucidity.
So as you can see, we've got some paraphernalia here. We're kind of Trump supporters. If you watched our last week's show, we kind of gave equal time to someone who was not a Trump supporter. So Bill's here to tell you about a special event it's going to happen this Thursday. And before you do that, though, why don't you give the audience just maybe a little 1-minute bio on yourself so they know who you are.
Okay, I started my career working about 10 years in the news business. And then I went to work for the federal government thinking that I needed a rest. So turns out that I didn't rest in that job either. And I ended up working 30 years for the federal government. The last 8 were in the basement of the Pentagon.
Wow.
Downstairs from Secretary Rumsfeld's office, and we put out the morning military intelligence report then went over to the White House and various other places. And I retired in 2008 and moved to Las Cruces because I like warm weather. And I've been observing the politics here, probably because of my newspaper background, since I moved here. And then national politics also, which really got me interested in what's happening to President Trump.
And you have an interesting perspective just from having worked, and you know a lot about the military. And I should mention too, so what I've also done because of his vast experience is Bill's going to stay with us for the whole hour, so he can also weigh in, because you have been following Las Cruces for a long time now.
Yeah, since 2008.
Good. And even, because I've just been back since 2022. So I appreciate your willingness to do that. So tell everybody about this event. It's called Persecution Watch for President Donald Trump. And why, tell us what it is, and why did you feel it was necessary to do something like this?
Okay, well, it started as an observance of the scheduled sentencing day for President Trump, which is July 11th. And of course, that's been rescheduled, but we had all the plans in place for the event, and we were advised by our group, our steering group, that we should continue and go through with it anyway. But the reason, it was pretty much my idea, I say modestly.
No, it really was. You are the spearheader on this, yes.
Because I've been watching for years the outrageous things that are being done to America. Like just starting this 4th of July weekend and looking back, 100 people were shot in Chicago. 17 were killed just this past weekend.
I saw that.
And for somebody my age, I can see the difference between what we have now and what this country was like before. And then we have things like the 10 million people invasion of our country. Biden didn't tell anyone when he was running for office that he was going to open the borders and let 10 million, maybe it's 16 million.
Maybe 20 million even. I feel like sometimes it could be as high as that, because we really don't know.
I wouldn't be surprised. And then we have the looting of the Treasury. They're spending trillions of dollars, and that's what's causing this inflation. And I see my wife showed me a roast in the supermarket about the size of my hand, and it was $30.
Wow.
So it's a serious problem. And then we have the election issues. Can we really trust our elections? Illegals are being registered to vote by the Social Security Administration. I read that everyone in the all the agencies in the Biden administration are registering people to vote. And all they have to do is check a box that says, I'm a U.S. citizen. So are these 10 million people going to become the future Democrats, voters of America?
Yeah, very convenient, the timing of this open border. I also just want to interject, I'm doing this for Yvette Herald 2024. I was just reading an article, and Congressman Vasquez is changing his tune, but before he voted to let illegals, non-citizens vote. I think they recently voted in Congress about that. In D.C., is it D.C. where they can vote? I believe in the local elections. So if you are an illegal person, alien in D.C., you can vote in their elections. Not good. Why? Why does that need to happen? Because maybe we know why.
I don't know, but my theory is they want them to create a voting bloc that'll secure them and the Democrat socialists in power forever.
And Bill, I actually even saw a video too, and they were speaking to someone who had just crossed the border, and he wasn't even, I don't think he was from a Latin American country, but he was saying, oh, I'm going to vote for Biden. Yeah, they're already, I think, grooming them, so to speak, if you want to use that word.
I saw a video, several videos, a month or so ago on Facebook that showed porta potties along the trail that the migrants take up here. And there were posters in the porta potties that said, "Don't forget to vote for President Biden when you get to America. Keep the trail open."
Wow.
And it was done by some substantial organizations,
They're so organized.
non-governmental organizations.
I'm going to ask Julia to weigh in here for just a moment because Julia, actually, you're a naturalized citizen.
I am, yes.
And so I know you have some feelings and thoughts about this.
So I do. So I became a naturalized citizen in 2018. I took the test, and for me, for an illegal to come in without being assimilated, without learning the culture, without anything, and just saying, hey, you can vote. I wasn't able to vote until I became a naturalized citizen. So that, for me, that waters it down, that cheapens it. Why did I have to wait? Not so much that why did I have to wait, but why was it necessary for me to go through all these steps to legally to prepare myself to become a naturalized citizen? And for me, that was the proudest moment to be here in the United States. The United States is a wonderful country. I love it. I love it. I love the United States. I love our flag. I love everything that it stands for. And I know that being a Mexican, I do get a lot of pushback maybe because everybody assumes that, oh, you're Hispanic, you came from Mexico, you're supposed to be a Democrat, not a Republican, definitely not conservative.
Right.
And I am proud of where I came from, absolutely. And I'm also proud to be an American, naturalized American citizen.
I really appreciate you sharing that. And that was one of the reasons we even started this show, because George and I, we were former Democrats, and we're trying to bust the myth. We still are to a certain extent.
Mm-hmm.
Just because you are of the Latino persuasion does not mean you're automatically a Democrat. I'm sorry.
No, and inherently, Hispanics are conservative.
Yes,
Why
that's
are
our
we,
culture.
Why are we registered or voting Democrat? I don't know if we can ever answer that question.
Time
but
for a change. That's a whole other show.
Yes, absolutely. Yes,
Could
no
be a whole
doubt.
other show. So here we go.
So I attended a candidate forum for the clerk of courts candidates. They run the election. Clerk of courts runs the election. And I had a lot of issues that I wanted to bring up because she hadn't responded to my emails. So I took the advantage of this forum to ask some questions. And one of them was, what are you doing to make sure that only citizens can vote? So, I actually said, what are you doing to make sure illegals don't vote? So her answer was, we don't call people illegals. Didn't answer the substance of my question, but a lot of people don't realize, I've been called a privileged old white man, and I've been married to my wife for 34 years. Both of her parents were naturalized Mexicans, and my wife's fluent in Spanish, bilingual. And I have to laugh when she's considered a woman of color because she's lighter than I am.
She's lighter than all of us,
and
yeah.
it shows the absurdity of this focus on color. So,
Did they ever answer the question about that? Besides saying, we don't like the term illegal?
what is she doing to make sure that illegals? No, she didn't
Never
answer
answered
it.
And then
And
just
it
I
was-
like to remind people, in New Mexico, you don't need to show ID when you vote. You just go up there and say, here's my name, okay, boom.
And when you register at the DMV, you just check the box that says, I'm a citizen.
Wow.
So,
They don't make you show it either, because I actually, when I came back, I went to the county clerk's office and presented all my information, my ID. Interesting. So you're getting ready to have this big event. Obviously, we are Trump 2020. I'm going to be there. Zeke's going to be there, hopefully, if he's feeling better, too. We're very excited about this, Bill. Good idea.
So I've been stewing, really annoyed for months, probably years, about all the outrageous things happening here. Like, I had a very high security clearance, and I was always very careful with classified information. I could give an example, but but I
Then you
shouldn't.
have to kill us, right?
No, it was about taking a briefcase into the men's room and not wanting to put it down. Because it was so indoctrinated
Wow.
in me to be careful.
Did you have it handcuffed like they do on Get Smart?
No. So we have President Trump, who is the commander-in-chief with declassification authority. He can declassify anything he wants. So he gets prosecuted for having some classified documents at Mar-a-Lago. And meanwhile, former Senator Biden, who was never allowed to take classified information out of a secure facility, has all this classified information. So what do? They try to nail Trump to the wall, and they let Biden off. So I just had the feeling like, why are we taking all this? Why are we allowing them to do all these outrageous things? So that's what really prompted me to organize the event on Trump's sentencing. And I found out that there were quite a few people who felt the same way.
Well, I'm very excited about this. It's going to be in kind of downtown Las Cruces. And if you live, of course, in Las Cruces, we'd love for you to be there, or even the surrounding areas. I mean, El Paso's only 45 minutes, an hour away, the Hatch area, Alamogordo. Come and join us. We're going to have, and he's going to tell you about who's going to be speaking. You won't want to miss it. It's going to be from 9 to 12, right? Or 9 to 11, actually, the program.
It'll be from 9 to 11, and then at 11, we'll leave that site and walk 1 block to the federal courthouse. And originally, the scenario was that the Justice Department officials in the federal courthouse would see us in our procession, get on the phone and call DC and say, there are a bunch of Trump people outside our building up here in Las Cruces, New Mexico. So, but we have a very good speaker, David Clements. He's a former NMSU professor and a prosecutor in this area. But he's been, he lost his NMSU job and his law license because he's chosen to do what he thinks is right despite the consequences. And I don't want to talk too much about him because I don't know really that much, although I met him years ago before he got fired from NMSU, and I said, are you independently wealthy? Because they're going to get you.
Yeah.
And they did, and his answer was no. He isn't wealthy. He's got kids, and at that time he had an old car, and he mentioned that his window winder wasn't working. So I think, and he made a documentary called Let My People Go. It's very good. It's about the J6ers. And when I lived in Washington, I would walk my dog every day at Congressional Cemetery. It's right outside the DC jail. And David's documentary opens with the scene, very familiar to me, of the tombstones in Congressional Cemetery where J. Edgar Hoover's buried.
Can somebody just watch that for free somewhere on YouTube?
Oh, yeah.
Right?
You just you can just Google "Let My People Go," and you can watch it for free.
I haven't watched. I think I started watching it and couldn't finish it. So I've got to go back. It would be good to watch it, and then you probably get more out of it when you go see him speak. And he's going to be up at. He's going to be our featured speaker for that event, right?
Yes, he's going to speak for 30 minutes, and I could listen to him for a couple of hours.
So please, I want to encourage everyone out there, especially if you think what's going on is not right. There was an update also on the J6ers. You're kind of looking at things. I saw an interview, and it was a colonel who had been imprisoned, and he's just getting out. So, I mean, we hope that there's hope. But it's a very serious thing. This is not an America, as you say, that we grew up in. It isn't.
It's one of the outrages. somebody from my generation would never imagine that we would have political prisoners in this country for years without a trial.
Yeah, what's a speedy trial, right? Right to a speedy trial. There was no it didn't appear to be any speedy trials there. So again, it's going to be downtown Las Cruces
This Thursday.
this Thursday. What do you call it?
9
The
a.m.
Plaza?
It's the Plaza de Las Cruces, and it's at 100 Main Street. And then the courthouse is at 100 Courts. I'm not sure the name of the street, but it's the same block, same 100 block. So the procession will only be 1 block long.
Good. So don't, it's going to be warm, but it's still not going to be, okay, I'm from Phoenix, so to me it's not that warm. So you can survive. If you can't walk with us, that's okay. Just come and join and meet some people. And we encourage you to do that. If they want more information, we'll post the poster. So you can
Okay.
have that. We'll put that up on our site. Or if somebody wanted to contact you, I don't know if you want to give an email out or something.
My phone number's on the poster.
Okay.
It's 202-271-1677. And my email is William SR for William Sr. at wbeerman.com.
Great, good deal. So we'll, hopefully Thursday will go really good. Please say some prayers for us.
Yes.
Bill is a great organizer. I've been privileged and honored to be part of the steering committee. And we have some great people, and there's a lot of details that have gone into this. And I think it's going to be a really great event. Are you going to be able to join us, Julie?
I hope so. I hope so. We'll
Even
see.
if you can swing by,
Okay.
maybe early lunch hour.
Oh, maybe they're interpreting, so.
That would be
I
awesome.
might be there,
That'd be
so.
great.
Mhm.
So thank you, Bill, for giving us that information, and we'll kind of announce it at the end, hopefully, if we remember. I think this is a really important event, and I'm glad that you're doing it. We'll see what happens.
Thank you. You've been a big help with the committee,
Oh, well, thank you.
really.
My pleasure. So now we're going to turn it over to Julia, and Bill's going to hang on with us because he's going to be very helpful about this. I want to put a plug in also. You guys don't know how it's really great to be broadcasting from a studio. We moved over here, and Haley and Joey do such a great job. They really do. And we don't promote their magazine enough and what they do. So I think in a future show, we should Joey has helped me host actually a show before. Maybe we have you guys and just interview you guys for a few minutes. So I'm saying this on air. No, Haley. So maybe not Haley. But when you have your baby, we're going to make you come introduce your baby. But maybe Joey could come on, and then we'll talk to you guys about what you do here and everything that you do. Because also I like to highlight them, because one of the reasons I like to co-host with Zeke is because he is a millennial, and a millennial and boomer. We can offer different perspectives. And they're both conservative millennials, and we love that. All right, so Julia, I am so excited that you're here. I helped you a little bit when you ran for.
You did?
She ran for a school board and almost made it, man.
Almost, yes.
She was almost there. But maybe you were supposed to be doing what you're doing now. So the main reason we're having her is she's a member of the leadership team of CCIA, Conservative Coalition. Excuse me, Coalition of Conservatives in Action. I said that backwards. With a primary focus on crime and public policy. You kind of have given already a little bio of yourself, Julia, and we appreciate you coming here because I know you're probably taking a long lunch hour from work. But tell us about what the Crime Committee does and what's your focus and mission.
Sure. So first of all, thank you for having me. Thank you again. Thank you for having me. I'm glad Bill's here, Mr. Beerman. Like you said, I always
I like to say Mr.
Mr. Beerman, right?
I wouldn't expect it to be my pleasure, but it is. So well run,
Thank you.
Puts
So
me
yes,
at
thank you for
ease.
having me. So crime and public policy. So we focus on our community, the small businesses, policy. What's going on in the community? How is this policy affecting the citizens, our constituents? And again, we go out and talk to small businesses. What's going on with them? How can we help them? How can we, with example, vandalization? We give them resources. Some of them don't know that there's a grant program with the City of Las Cruces that you can, if the windows are broken, I think it's up to $2,500 that you can get a grant and fix those windows. We're out there in the community just seeing how we can help, what's going on.
And I'm so glad you're doing this. And I often tell the story, I've been back about 2 years lived in Phoenix 30 plus years before that, but I grew up, born and raised here. And it's so different now. And my sister said, there's more crime in Cruz. I'm like, nah, sure, I bet, I'd visit here, visit holidays and things. And boy, was she right, big time. Graffiti and crime and homeless, I'm like, and it's affecting all of our cities out there, even this small city. So I know that you're kind of based Las Cruces, but you also do kind of the surrounding communities too?
We do. I think we do Chaparral. We do some Mesilla. I have some friends there. We do, I think one has gone to Hatch even, I believe. And then surrounding areas, Dona, the county.
Because even those small, more rural areas, or villages almost, they're
Sure.
just very small communities, but they have even been affected. And because you guys have been here a while, what do you think is the main reason? Do you think it could be a combination of all, public policy, an open border maybe doesn't help? What are your thoughts on that?
Gosh, so many issues. Yes, absolutely. Open borders. Who are we letting in? Why aren't they being vetted when they come in? The homelessness issues that's come up, and the mental illness issues. It's a combination of everything, that we don't have enough resources. We don't have enough therapists. We don't have enough hospitals to put the people that need these services in. It's just a combination of a lot of things. It's not just the illegals coming in. It's not just the homeless that are here. It's not just the mental illness. It's not just the drugs. It's everything together.
And I know you have some thoughts, as I know, and you can feel free to jump in here too, Bill, about our city council. I remember I was talking about my sister. She's calling me now. Okay. Because the city council, I've watched the meetings. I haven't been able to attend a meeting,
Okay.
but it appears it's mostly women. A lot of lady leftists are out there. I mean, I wish we could change some of the policies that I know that they like.
Well, and to start by changing, we've got to vote. That's one thing that I'm a proponent of, is we've got to involve ourselves with the issues and vote. I've noticed that, and maybe not just here in Las Cruces, but there's a lot of apathy with no voters voting.
We do have a really low turnout.
We do. I mean, look at
It's
the
bad.
school board race. I don't remember the numbers, but you see people complaining about the policy. Why isn't this happening? Why is it the city council doing this? Why didn't this policy go through, or these bill, or whatever's happening in the city? Well, look who are we putting in office. That's where it starts, is people voting, educating themselves on what's happening in the city. Who are we voting in? Why are we voting for this person? Why are we voting for that person? Is this person going to do the best for the community, for their constituents? So that's where it starts, is educating ourselves as to who we're putting in office, and then actually go out there and vote.
And then we almost had, in a way, a little victory, and you can back me up on this, Bill, if you want. We had a pretty progressive person that ran for mayor last time, and she did not win. She did not win. Now, Enriquez got in, and of course we would have liked a Republican, a conservative person, but he's kind of a moderate Democrat, right? So to me, that was a victory at whatever. What do we have, 20%? I don't think we even had 20% that voted in that election. I don't remember.
I think so.
Something like that.
One problem we have is this organization called CAFE. Our current mayor pro tem, Ben Como, was executive director of CAFE. And
That seems like a conflict of interest.
well, that's how she got elected.
Mm.
They on their website, they actually boast that they put paid door knockers on the street at election time, and they talk about how many thousands of people they register to vote, and they even mentioned that they're early voters. So they sign them up and get them to vote early, and it's really hard to beat. And I guess the reason that Mayor Enriquez was able to win is that he had support from not only Democrats, because I think he's a Democrat, not an independent.
I think it was registered Democrat.
But the Republicans recognized that he was a conservative, and so he got some of the Republican vote, which helped him win. But I reached the conclusion, like I've seen Ben Como on video recently in the last few weeks say that she wants to do away with single-family zoning in Las Cruces. And that's been in existence for hundreds of years. And all of a sudden these people think that they know better than hundreds of years of traditional zoning. And she made the statement that single-family zoning is based on race and class. So to me, that the light bulb went off. No more liberal and no more progressive. She's just a communist in my view.
Very bold about it too, and like I say, I've never been down there, but if you watch the city council meetings, and you can see the attitude and the arrogance that comes out. And I know you've attended and you've actually spoken.
I have, yes.
Also,
I did. I spoke when I was approached by a homeless gentleman. You couldn't see his face. You couldn't see his anything. He had 3 jackets. He had masks on, and me being married to a police officer, former deputy chief, I thought I was aware of my surroundings. I parked in the very first parking lot and close to the door. Did not see this guy coming from anywhere. Didn't see him. And I thought, that's when it hit me and it's true, when it affects you, that's when you care, sadly. And that's when I realized, wow, this is not safe. This is not good.
And wasn't that, if I remember correctly, you told me about this, it wasn't necessarily you think that's kind of a more risky part of town, right?
Actually, it was Albertsons on Tell Shore.
Okay, which you would think that's
pretty safe.
That'd be safer than the other Albertsons.
Target's there. Yeah, you've got a lot of shopping areas. It was middle of the day. No reason for me to be afraid. No reason for me to think anybody was coming up. Just no reason. And the guy didn't see him coming. Dropped my phone. Thought he was gonna go, run away with it, and thank God he grabbed it, gave it back to me. I don't know what happened, but
your guardian angel was helping you out.
Yes, thank God, for sure, no doubt. But it is dangerous.
And even more recently in that area, isn't there a gun store? And I think
the Miller's gun.
If I said the story, read the story right, 12-year-old and 2 15-year-olds or something.
Yes. Where are their parents? Where are the parents?
Man.
What are they doing out in the middle of what is it? I think it was 2 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
Why don't the parents know? And that's part of the problem. Are the parents? Where are they? Why aren't they watching their children? I think that's where it stems. It stems from the home.
And it's very hard, and it is tough. The parents trying to make a living, raise
sure,
kids.
Absolutely.
It's not like when Bill and I were younger, it was normal. Families were together for the most part. You knew like the one divorced family in your whole school, or who that was, and everybody's 4 or 5 kids. I just told somebody the other day, if you had to go anywhere, it was not a problem because you always had a group of kids with you. You weren't by yourself. Sure. It was always that way. So what kind of policies has your committee maybe thought of? Or like one thing that I always think too, we no longer have here, there is not a curfew for kids.
Okay.
Well, what kind of policies or suggestions have you devised or suggested?
So personally I have not, but I know that the ordinances are coming up. The shopping cart ordinances, the vagrancy ordinance, the panhandling ordinances. So that was one that came out of Crime and Public Policy team, which was Fred Huff. He started with the shopping cart. I don't know if you remember that he started with collecting all of the shopping carts, and now hopefully that's going to pass, I want to say August 14th. I think so.
So the city council can just put that into effect because it's an ordinance. You don't have to have a vote by the people.
No, exactly. It's going to be a vote by
and it will pass. Do you think it will pass?
I'm hoping it will.
Bill, do you think it will pass?
I think so.
I think so.
I mean, sure, there's probably going to be pushback as everybody knows, but I hope so. I do hope it passes.
So good. It's a start.
It is a start. It is. So these shopping carts that they're all over the place. It's a lot of litter. Sadly, it's a lot of trash that people are carrying in their shopping carts, and we need something to change. We do. So hopefully it'll help.
Well, that's good. The other that I've seen increase, even in the last 2 years that I've been here, unless I'm going nuts or something, but the amount of graffiti.
Mm-hmm.
When I would visit here, you would rarely see anything. But coming here, and more recently, it seems like even downtown, like right across from the police station, in areas you think, really they're doing that? Are they planning maybe to change those? I did find out though that, so if it's your private property, they have enforcement codes, people.
Yes, they do.
And they can come, and you've got a certain amount of time, you have to take care of it
You
personally.
do. Right.
I guess we're kind of spoiled. In Phoenix, I think you could call and boom, they had a really good department out there. Of course, it's a city of 1 million more people, and they would come out and they had the special tools and they
Sure.
take care of it. But
They do, and I've seen that happen. In fact, I think it was in the at the river where there was some graffiti on there, and a gentleman was trying to take care of it himself. But no, you do have to call codes, and they'll take care of it.
And I know of a personal case, and they told, it was a relative of mine, and said, well, you have so much time and you've got to take care of it. And I happened to be there. I said, well, do you guys have like tools that he could rent? And you could do it because it was on one of those rock walls.
Oh, okay.
And those aren't easy to do.
No, it's
You
hard.
need like sandblasters
Sure.
and things like that. Well, he did a really good job because he's kind of a good handyman. But still, I mean, if it was just me or something, I couldn't do anything
No,
like that. I
that
had
would
to
be
hire somebody.
I mean, I don't have the skill to do that. I don't know, especially when on a brick wall, for example. I don't know how to maintain or take the graffiti off and keep the aesthetics of it. So
Right.
You don't want to ruin it. So I would
Exactly.
call definitely codes and have them take care of it.
And do you think, I mean, I always think that when you see that, it's just, it shows the neighborhood's run down, and you don't care, so it's like it just promotes what you don't want promoted.
It does, and of course you've got the gang signs on there, so you don't want a gang running around in there. So absolutely take care of the graffiti as soon as possible, report it, and get it taken care of.
So if you could have the attention of all the Las Cruces audience, what would you tell them as far as, we always promote engagement here.
Sure.
No matter what you can do, maybe you work a lot, but maybe you can call or send an email to a city council person. But what would your message be? And, it's not the end of the show. I don't want you to think that.
Okay.
But I don't want to forget and not ask you to do that.
The important thing is vote. Know who you're voting for. Know why you're voting for that person. And vote. Get out there and vote. If you care about our community, the safety, our work environment, the parks, our children, get out there and vote. It's not going to help after the people are elected and you don't like that counselor, mayor, whomever, and you didn't vote. That's my message, is people need to get out there and vote. That's so important. After I became a naturalized citizen, my first vote was when former President Trump was running, and I was so proud to vote. I thought, wow, what a great gift that we have. That's where we have our power,
Yes.
and we need to use that more. We just do. I think it's underutilized. I think people, I don't know, I know we as like-minded people do believe our vote is important. And how do we get that message out there that everybody's vote truly does count? That is the message that I want to send, is your vote truly does count.
I think a great thing that you and CCIA are doing is exposing the crime that's occurring.
Sure.
There's a web page that has 100 pictures of scenes where businesses had their windows broken.
Right.
You're exposing the fact that crime is happening. And our city council, they deny it, but they were defunding the police years ago. And they don't really want a lot of spotlight on crime. And when I was running for city council, doorbelling, we were taught to make our first question, we're here to find out what your concerns are about your city government. And over in Sonoma Ranch, which was my district,
A very nice district here in
Yeah, it was like Groundhog Day. You ask that question, and they look up at the sky and scratch their head, and they said, well, we don't really have any concerns about the government. They just don't know what's going on. So by you going and talking and interviewing the victims and putting the pictures on the internet, you're helping to educate the voters so that they'll have a reason to vote. They'll know what effect their vote can have. And eventually the crime did reach out in that area. They started robbing all their mailboxes and mailbox clusters.
We
and
rented
free
a home
buses.
up there, right there, where the Veterans Park is. So the home we rented was straight across from it. And yeah, it was a cluster mailbox, and it was an old one, and they did something, they pried the back of it. I'm like, what, really? Then our neighbor across the street, I mean, this is a really nice area. I thought it was a nice area. And the neighbor across the street had his truck stolen. He did get it back, but I think it was without the catalytic converter or something like that. Yeah, you're right. It struck. And one of the really cool things too, I don't know if it's your committee that did it or exactly who, but there's these great, and we've posted them on our Facebook page for CCIA, and they have the people that they arrest, but they keep letting them go.
Oh,
and
that's
the fascinating
Sarah.
thing,
Yes,
Sarah Smith.
Yes, she
Sarah,
made
so
the,
Sarah,
yes,
I wasn't sure
the
if she
flyers.
exactly did.
Excellent.
She did them
Yes.
all. Wow.
Right.
I mean, we've
Impressive.
had her on before. She does a
Yes.
great job with
Excellent.
everything.
Right.
And the impressive thing is, it takes them like the first time they got arrested maybe 2 years ago, and they kind of look like just a regular person. They got busted for whatever, breaking a window. And then by the end, 2 years later, when they're addicted or still doing crime and they're all tweaked out, right? I mean, can you talk about those? You've probably seen a lot. But there's a lot of them too.
I have seen, I've worked. I mean, I taught mathematics at the Dona Detention Center, and I'm not making excuses for them, but there's a lot of mental illness. There's a lot of drug use. And that's the problem that we have here, is that combination is so hard. To help them, they have to want to help themselves. We can't just be throwing money at them and giving them housing and the UBI, and just they've got to want to help themselves first before treatment can step in, before we can step in, before free housing. How do we help those that don't want to be helped? I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't have the answer, but it's a problem. It is a problem. When are we going to solve it? I don't know.
And if they don't want the help and they can't be helped, but still they're endangering our community.
Sure. Right.
That's what bothers me, because I have a social work degree. My whole intent when I graduated was to help people like that. Unfortunately, I couldn't make a very good living out of it. I still just kind of had to do that, without getting paid for it. You probably have then some experiences. I mean, there have to be some success stories. Is there anything we could do as a community? There's you were talking about the videos, and one of the recent videos, they're right there in front of like where the library is, the public library, and then across the street is actually the police station. And there's a guy, and what is he doing? He's smoking something, probably, I don't know, whatever it is. But he's just on a bench and he's lighting up, whatever. And then if you keep looking at the video, there's a guy behind him taking stuff out of trash. And then Sarah had posted this, and she says, you can't see it, but there's human feces also there. I mean, this is a public, just, like it was nothing. And the guy knew the camera was on him.
I mean, mental illness. I mean, these people don't know what they're doing. I genuinely do believe that. They're either high on drugs or they've got some mental illness that they're not taking their medications. How do we solve this? We're trying. I know that we're trying. We need more treatment. We need more counselors. We need more medical facilities. The one that we had, I don't even think it's opened yet, the Peak Behavioral. I don't know if that's opened yet. So I think that Dona closed it down for a while. It was open, closed down. And now I believe
triage.
The triage, yes, the triage center. That's supposed to be opening soon. I know we've got Zero Recovery as well. That's another excellent source to go in and for help. But again, they've got to want to clean themselves up. They've got to want to be better, do better. how do we make that happen? I mean, that's.
I think by exposing the problem like you're doing, for one thing, it's probably going to help us get a new district attorney. And
No doubt, for
we've
sure.
already caused the old one to be voted out in the primary.
And let me do a quick commercial because we're trying to help Michael Kane. He is running for our county district attorney here in Dona County. He's a great candidate. We've interviewed him before. We'll probably have him back again. Thank you for mentioning that.
He's got an interesting story.
Very interesting.
Yes, I hesitate. I don't want to get it wrong, but I think his father was murdered,
Yes.
and the trial didn't go well. Didn't go properly, and that's why he became a lawyer.
Oh, okay.
Why he's running.
It's a great story. He has wonderful experience and just a sharp guy, and I really hope he wins. If you can vote in Dona County, it's Michael Kane, C-A-I-N. I'm really interested, though. I just think that our city council, and we need to put the pressure on them because we are the bosses. We're supposed to be
We
the
are.
bosses.
Yes.
There might be some things they can do. I think their police officers may not be able to do everything that they can. They're kind of hampered. We keep hearing stories, and the businesses especially, they'd come to CCIA. Well, I called, but they said unless it's so much in damage, they really can't do anything about it. Has any of that changed? Have you? And what are you hearing out there?
So I know that we still talk at city council. We send letters, we send emails, we send public comment. That's important. Come in and talk to your city council. Schedule an appointment with your city councilor and ask them, hey, what's going on? These are the issues here. What are you doing as your constituent? These are the issues that are happening in my neighborhood. What can we do? What can you do to help us? Absolutely, hold them accountable. That's one thing that CCIA does, is we hold our elected officials accountable for what they're doing or not doing.
And the billboards, we should mention billboards too. That's Juan Garcia, the chairman. Those are like, I call him the billboard bomber because he comes up with they come up with some really good ones.
Okay.
And I think there's one over by the Ruby Tuesdays now.
I believe so. Is it the one in Bencomo?
Yeah, I think so, right?
And then the other one
She's
is...
on one of them.
She's on one of them, and the other one is your city... Something about your city?
Yeah,
Then-
it's crime in the
Yes.
city, but
Mhm.
they're very effective.
They are.
You're right.
They are.
But do you think either of you? I mentioned the curfew before. So when I was growing up here, unless you had a reason to be, you had to be over 18. You could be out at 1 or 2 in the morning. You had to be like working or have a purpose to be out there. And I'm not going to tell you why and how I know that. But when we had Officer Velasco came to speak, by the way, okay, great speakers, and we should do a plug for CCIA Thursday nights at Kitchen Craft and start at 6.
6 o'clock.
Everyone's welcome. You don't have to be a Republican.
Right.
You don't even have to be conservative. You can
Yeah,
come.
come on over.
So it's fine. Get great speakers. But I asked him. I said, "Do we have curfew?" He says, "No." He says, "We don't have a curfew." And I said, "Well, I really think that would help. At least," he says, "we can't hardly do anything, unless the person's in trouble." So, if a 12-year-old could be out there.
Again, I mean,
They are.
for me, it stems from in the home. Where are the parents? And I understand that parents are working parents, and they've got to work. Either way, they've got children. They've got to be responsible. They've got to know where their children are at all times. I knew where my girls were at all times. Sure, they got in some trouble, but I also knew where they were. And another parent, hey, Julia, your kids are out here. Come and grab them, or something. And we had a close-knit family. And my girls are great. I absolutely love them. I'm not saying that they were any trouble at all. But I always knew where my kids were. And the other issue are the pads, the war games, or the shooting games that they're desensitized, very desensitized to a lot of things. So a curfew, would it help? Sure, I think it would.
Maybe a little. I'm just looking for some tools because we can't do everything. It's a different culture. When I was growing up,
Sure.
you couldn't get. It was hard to get in trouble because the neighbors knew your mom and dad,
Right.
and mom
right.
was home.
Mhm.
Oh, but mom was probably home and
Yeah,
you
sure.
too.
We had truant officers.
That's right.
Yeah,
Not
we
just
did. You're
being
right.
out at night. If you were out in the broad daylight and a cop saw you, you'd get picked up because you're supposed to be in school.
Do they have those anymore?
I haven't heard about it, but I
think
do
so,
hear that
no.
the absentee rate in the schools is
Very
very
high.
bad.
Very high.
Outrageous.
And you brought up you said something about bringing back the curfew, and yes, that's an excellent idea. I definitely am for a curfew.
Just a tool, or like, you know, we knew what the rules were and started them out. Okay, we're down to our last 10 minutes. What have we not covered that you want to talk about? Bill, if you have a question that I haven't thought of, feel free to chime in as well. I just think it's so important, you know, this community, it's still a great community. We have wonderful people that live here. There's a great vibe. The culture, the mix of cultures. We have the best Mexican food. We always make it right. You know, and I've made some really good friends. Here's two of them right here, just from moving back. And I really think it's worth saving. It really
absolutely.
is.
Yes,
We're
this
only
is-
115,000 in Las Cruces. The whole county's what, over 200 maybe
About,
thousand. So I'm just going to kind of give you guys the mics because you've been here, you know, more recently than I have.
Oh, I think it is. Absolutely, it's worth saving. My girls are here. I live here. We work here. I'm a mother, grandmother. I want my children to be safe and happy and have a good life here. And it is a beautiful community. I've been here 30 years now. I remember in '93 when I came, and just the growth that's happened here. It's definitely worth saving. It really is.
And I'm glad that you're out there, feet on the ground, trying to do that.
Yes, I love talking to the business
Encouraging.
people, and we do a lot of the mom and pops, the smaller businesses that sometimes do, a lot of times actually get ignored. For example, a carniceria, the small mom and pop businesses that are not as exposed. Everybody uses them, but they're not as exposed as the bigger.
And they probably can't afford like fancy
Exactly.
security systems
Sure.
and things like
Exactly.
that. They do
So
the
I-
best they can.
Yes, no doubt.
And then with this economy too, it's hard even just to stay in business,
Sure.
even if everything was great.
Right.
Yeah.
I think that the CCIA organization is really a godsend for this town. They're very effective. They address problems that seem to be ignored by everyone else and really make changes. So I've seen a lot of change since I moved here, change for the worse. And I just think that inertia will just continue. Things would keep getting worse and worse if it wasn't for the CCIA organization.
And Juan Garcia, I think he's excellent at how
Our chairman's great.
Yes, absolutely, he is. Just how he organizes everyone and how his plan to, this is what we're going to do for XYZ. He's very intelligent.
We have a really good leadership team,
We
and
do.
again, if you'd like to join us, and even if you don't feel like you can work on a committee or don't have the time, that's okay. There's plenty of things. You can get very informed if you just attend the meetings on a pretty regular basis, or just come once in a while. There's a lot you can learn. I have. I mean,
Absolutely.
it's really been a good experience.
And they have a newsletter, might be the best I've ever seen
Chock
in my
full of
life.
A lot of information. Yes, everybody has every leader team has their information. We've got the crime and public policy. We've got the election integrity. We've got faith outreach, and we've got the schools education. So it covers just about everything in Las Cruces, I think.
I think you do, yeah. I think we
That
do.
everybody is or should be involved with or concerned with, or yes, absolutely. Come on Thursday, 6 o'clock.
Thursday, 6 o'clock at Kitchen Craft. It's
Kitchen Craft,
on
yes.
Telshore, right next to Rudy's Barbecue. That's where everybody can find it.
Yes, and we're
For sure.
nonpartisan. Like you said, we're not Democrats. We're not we're not Republicans. We're everybody. We're concerned citizens.
Nice people.
Absolutely, super nice people.
No radicals.
Not at
just
all.
Nice
No.
people.
Yes.
I haven't seen any so far. I mean, not to say they might come. Who knows? I don't know. But
You're
they
welcome
have it.
to.
And you really stress the importance of voting, and more than that, to know who your city council is. I mean, you'd be surprised. You can ask people, and I don't know. or where do you live, or have an idea. It's on your voter registration card, or you can find out online. It's pretty easy to find out. Know who your officials are.
And we've got the information on the CCIA website, so if you
Right.
don't know, just click on there and the information's there.
Great.
Input your name, last name, address, I believe, and date of birth. Is that
Yeah,
right?
just put them in there, and it'll tell you
And it'll give you all the
everything.
information. Yes.
Who everybody's in your district, who you can vote for. There's even, when we were doing the signature collection, it would tell you what your next ballot would look like. That way
Yes.
you know who you're going to be voting for.
Yeah.
And that's a really good tool too, because then you can do your own research, like you say. Okay, we're down to our last few minutes. Bill, announce information again for Thursday's big lineup event.
Okay. It'll be Thursday morning, just a couple days away.
Yeah.
It starts at 9 a.m. with speakers including David Clements. And then at 11, we'll have the procession to the federal courthouse. And we have a limited number of chairs available. It might be good to bring a lawn chair.
Bring your water if you think about it. If you're hot.
We talked at our last meeting about all the committee members bringing some water for the audience. So we hope it'll show that we're just not going to take whatever the people in power do to us. We're going to stand up and fight for America, to keep America great, to use a...
Right. And I just want to let everyone know, tell your friends, please, because you never know who might actually be interested. We're kind of been politically shy. I think a lot of us lately are afraid to get into fights, or, we've lost friends, or you've lost a relative that doesn't talk to you anymore. And it's too bad. If that happens, I'm like, too bad for them. I had a personal experience with a friend. I'm like, I still love you, but if you can't talk to me because I voted for Trump, I don't know what you're going to do about that. But talk to people. I encourage conversation. It doesn't have to be mean. I mean, last week we had I don't know, you were going to listen to the show. Did you listen to it? We had Peter Goodman on, and Juan was here. And Peter is totally, probably 90% of the stuff he thinks about, I don't think the same way. But we were able to sit down, and we didn't get into a fight and beat each other up. Joey didn't have to separate us or anything. So I want to encourage you to do that. So I want to give final thoughts to you also, Julia Ruiz. I really appreciate you coming in.
Thank you. Well, thank you for
and
having
what you
me.
do.
Well, thank you. I just want to say that our next Crime and Public Policy meeting is going to be July 30th, 2 p.m. Contact me for any information. And if you'd like to learn more about it, again, contact me at ruizjulia@proton.me, and go to our website. All of the information is there. If you have any questions, Mr. Beerman or I can certainly answer a lot of questions, but go to our website. And that website is conservativesinaction.org.
And everything can be found there, the newsletter, all that
Everything
stuff.
is there,
It's really
yes.
well done. I have one more quick question I
Yes.
just thought of to ask you. So, will you be running for office?
I am looking at running in 2026 for County Commissioner, District 1. I am, so I'm preparing myself for that. So, yes, absolutely.
So get to know Julia, because, you may want to help her in her campaign.
Thank you.
It could happen. We need good people. That's the only way we're going to save our community and our
Yes.
country, our county, our nation, everything. Well, great. Well, I want to thank again Joey and Haley for all the production work that they do. Thank you, Bill Beerman. Thank you, Julia Ruiz.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
And until we meet again, I'm Alice Lara here with the Chips and Salsa Show, New Mexico. Appreciate all you chipsters, and please have a wonderful week. And remember, if you live in Las Cruces vicinity, come see us July 11th, downtown. Be there before 9 o'clock. From 9 to 11 is our program. Thank you, and have a wonderful week.